Welcome to another episode of Playin Pzy with Matt and Nick. I'm Nicholas Sapaglia.
I'm Matthew Amos.
How you doing today, Matt?
Doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing well. I think we got to address a few things. I think last week was our first video episode. It came out pretty well, and it's gotten some decent feedback on it, and a little bit of views and likes and shares, and we appreciate everyone for doing that and enjoying it. And our last one was a little sloppy. We didn't really do much, but we did have to change the spelling of the name just for internet purposes and getting flagged, which we had to change it from Pussy to Pzy because, the internet and the moderators on all social medias will be flagging.
But it's good because that's actually the frat I pledged for in college, Pzy.
Pzy? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Off campus.
Off campus frat. Why don't you tell everybody about that? That was the frat and the porno you were.
I probably told this story before. I don't know if I've told it on the podcast before, but I went to film school at Cal State Fullerton, and we met this gentleman named Jorge, and his uncle was a producer in the adult film industry, so he got us in to be extras in the frat house fuck fest, and that was the name of the frat, Pzy. So we were there. It was fun. I wouldn't do it now. Now I'd probably find it weird, but when I was a kid, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is fun, But the people were all really nice. They were super nice.
That was the porn you were in?
Frat House Fuck Fest? Yeah, James Dean was there. This one of the directors was this guy, Chico Wang, who actually, he ended up going on like a crazy police chase with the cops. I think what happened, allegedly, is his girlfriend overdosed on drugs and they thought he killed her, and then they chased him down to Mexico and he killed himself, which is funny because he was a funny guy. Like
which is funny.
He was pulling pranks and being silly the whole time and like farting in the girls' faces and stuff. And my friends kept saying like, "Oh, he's just like you. He reminds us of you. That'll be you in the future."
Oh man!
And then a couple weeks later, he killed himself, I think.
Oh man! Well, he canceled himself. He didn't let society do it to him.
That's Pzy, man. That's why I pledged for the frat.
Pzy.
To be like that.
Yeah, so we just had to address that right out the gate. Matt's porn career and changing of the spelling, which was in itself Playin Pzy, but you got to follow some rules sometimes if you want to get things going. But it's been a week. What's been going on, Matt?
Yeah, so we had a show yesterday together in Dallas, and I wanted to talk about that because when you first gave me, I think you gave me notice on Wednesday night, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shit, got a show in Dallas. My car has been stolen, so I haven't been out of the house. I was like, yeah, I definitely got to do this gig. So of course I said yes. But then right after I was like, damn, I started getting nervous, anxious. I was like, wow, haven't been on stage in a while, gonna go out to this club, nice club, people want to see a good show.
When you say a while, it's only been like 11 days really, but it
feels like forever.
It feels like an eternity.
Yeah, and if you don't do stand-up, you really feel out of practice super fast, at least I do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then I started getting stressed. I was like, damn, I got to get ready. I don't even know if I remember my jokes, which is funny because of course I remember them, but it's been 11 days, so I feel like I forgot them all.
Yeah.
So then I'm cramming for a test, and the next day when I woke up for the show, I was just grumpy. I was feeling irritable, not good all day, and just like stressed, about going up. So then on the car ride up there, Nick, he was teasing me, which usually I wouldn't care at all. He's just having fun and we're just goofing off, but I was already irritable, so it was just putting me in a worse mood.
I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice you were just like normal to me.
It's not a big deal. I know you're just having fun, but it was just I was already in a bad mood. And then so, we're cramming. I got car sick from trying to read and write the whole time up there,
Yeah.
And so once we got there, I started drinking, and luckily I didn't drink too much. I was still able to get through my set fine.
You did great.
Oh, thanks, Sam.
But fun.
Yeah, I started drinking and just wasn't looking forward to it, wasn't in the mood, wasn't feeling good. And as soon as I got on stage, we had 15 minutes, which I thought I was going to get like 7. So then I was, sweating bullets too. I was like, shit, I haven't done 15 minutes in a long time,
I know, it was a little because it was a little nerve-wracking when they're like, you got 15 minutes. It's like, man, like back home in California, before we moved, it was like, that was the standard. I was used to that.
Yeah,
then we come here, and then we have to start all over being open micers again. Then we go.
And the open mics are way shorter. We had open mics in California that some were 10 minutes, some were 7,
some
8.
of the open mics are anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes at some of the open mics, which was nice. You don't really realize how spoiled you are until you come to a place like this, and it's like you got 3 minutes, and you're like 3 minutes. Like when I first got here, I was like, how the fuck am I gonna do 3 minutes?
And usually because you're not trying to run the light, you'll get off at 2:30 or 2:40. You know.
Yeah. And then after a few months of just only being able to do that, you kind of get conditioned to like 3-minute spurts, and then then when you're like, oh, you have a longer set, you're like, oh fuck, I gotta prepare for this and like get going, and then it eventually comes back to you, because I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was on stage last night, like eventually I got the light and I was like, oh, that's already been 13 minutes. Like, okay, that works.
Well, what I wanted to say to finish out the story basically is just I got called up, I went up, and I really just wasn't feeling in the mood to make anyone laugh. I didn't care about anyone in the crowd. I didn't care if they had a good time or if they thought I was funny. I didn't care what they thought about me at all. And I was just like, I just want this to be over with. I just need to get this 15 minutes done and not like embarrass myself. Because at the same time, they're there to see a show. They're not paying. It was a free show, but they did have, I think, 2-drink minimum.
Yeah.
So I tried to do my best, wanted to entertain them the best I could, but I just wasn't there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there at all. I was just waiting for the time to be over, pretty much. So.
Playing pussy a bit, eh?
I don't know if I'd call it playing pussy. I think I was talking to Derek after, our buddy Derek that we did comedy with in Fresno. It was really cool that we got to do this show with him. Haven't done a show with him in a long time, but we were talking on the way home, and I was just explaining to him like, man, lately I've been doing comedy and I don't care. I don't care about the crowd. I don't care about my jokes. I don't care about anything. And he was saying, maybe it's just your old material. Maybe you're feeling something different now and you just need to come up with material you're actually excited to talk about. And I thought about that. I was like, hey, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just not doing the type of comedy I want to do or talking about things I actually want to talk about. But that's definitely something I need to work on. I got to figure out a way to feel it again, Because lately I don't feel anything. I just do it because I have to, basically.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It was really fun to have you and Derek come up with me and do this, and it's like when we all making those plans to like move down here to Austin, that's what we were like jazzed about talking about, and like, dude, we'll be able to do shows together.
This is the first time we were all three on a show, all had 15 minutes. It was cool.
Yeah, and we all got to do our thing, and like the trip up was fun. It was like us driving to Tulare like back in the day. It's like let's go. Now you said you're feeling like uninterested basically, or not really into it, but do you think like you've been feeling that way mainly just because you have only been doing mics? Like you've had like a couple. This one was technically your third show since you moved here, or?
Fourth? I think it was my fourth, but not many shows.
Yeah. Do you think that might have something to do with it a little bit? You're like just maybe over trying to go out because like the crowds are different at open mic versus
I don't know shows. Though, because I've been doing well at the mics mostly. I usually do well at the mics, so I wouldn't say the mics have been bad in any way.
Okay.
I don't know I just haven't cared. Just don't care. Yeah. But what about you? How was your experience at the show? How are you feeling when you on the way up and when you got the gig, and then, I know when we got told 15 minutes, you were like, oh, wow, so I'm going to have to plan a little different, but how did it all go for you?
Honestly, the whole experience was a good, fun experience. We went to, when I got booked on it, it was a bunch of different comics, and then everyone ended up bailing out, and then the booker was like, asked me to come up.
Oh, you should tell him the booker and the place and everything.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember his last name. His name's Nate, though. He's a really great guy. He books at the Hyenas Comedy Club in Dallas. He also works at Vulcan, I think, a couple days a week, so he's back and forth. And that's where I originally met him. My friend Bobby Johnson, he basically gave me the gig. I was standing there talking to him in front of a Kill Tony, and then Nate walked up. And
Bobby did the show too, right?
Bobby did the show. He was on the show as well. He came up and said, do you know anybody that can do the show? And Bobby was like, oh, Nick's funny, he could do it. And that's how I got booked. And then it was originally supposed to be like Andrew Tarr, Yonder, Bobby, and myself. and just the return of events, a bunch of cancellations happened, and Nate asked me to find some comedians to do it, and that's when I jumped on the idea to have the two of you guys come with me, because I wanted to feel like the old days almost, just these are my friends that I came up with in the comedy scene. We're all doing comedy together. It was a great experience. I loved it. I loved the road trip up there. I didn't realize you were irritable, or else I probably wouldn't have teased you as much, but I thought we were all having a great time, which we did.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That's all. I was just...
And then we got there and they're like, oh, you're doing 15 minutes? I was like, okay, shoot, now I got to plan a little bit more. But it also kind of made me excited, because it was like, now I have like a lot longer of a window. Like, I didn't have to just jump right into jokes. I could
get a longer clip,
or just be able to goof off, and I'd do a little more improv, which I've been trying to work on a little bit more, and be a little funnier without the...
And I was telling you, your improv went well. I thought my improv went well too. It seemed like they were more into that, the more off the cuff stuff.
It did. We definitely got more laughs on the off the cuff stuff.
And I was talking to Derek, and what were we saying about that? Oh, it made me realize just a lot of the bigger comics that you see in specials, and most of the comics we look up to, everything they say sounds off the cuff. That's something I want to work on. I need to, even if I'm doing material, try to, give it that feel of sounding really real like that.
Absolutely. But I had a great time. I was a little tired. I had work yesterday morning at like 4 a.m. and I came home and took a nap for a little bit before we left, but it didn't get like a solid thing to sleep, so when we left, I fell asleep in the backseat of the car. And
it was a long trip home. We ended up, there was a crazy accident on the way home, and we ended up just stopped in the middle of the freeway for about 2 hours. Yeah, it's brutal, because I was getting hungover and I was just not feeling it.
Oh yeah, I woke up because I went to sleep, and then I woke up and I think it was like 2:30 in the morning at this point, because Dallas from Austin is about 3.5 hours away. That's how long it took us to get there on the way up. Driving up there, traffic was great. Like no traffic whatsoever. But on the way back, I had like I think I had like 3 drinks, and I just went to sleep in the back seat because I was tired. And then I woke up and it was like 2 in the morning. We were just in a dead stop, surrounded. Like, it was funny. There was a semi truck in front of us, one on the side of us, and one behind us. It was just like this one car in the middle of this thing. And I woke up and you guys were like, oh yeah, we've been stopped here for like an hour. And then all of a sudden, like, at this point I'm awake and I'm sitting there, and then I'm sitting there for an hour. I was like, we've been here for 2 fucking hours, and we were probably 20 minutes from home.
I've been getting more into this mystical stuff, as you guys can see. Curia Arcanum is this really cool occult shop by our house, so we got the incense and the candles. But the reason I bring that up is because me and Derek were talking about some weird synchronicities that were going on between us. We both had our sleep schedule really thrown off and then just snapped back into place on the same day. And we've both been having weird nightmares on the same night. But then when we were in the car, I kept telling him, get out and stretch, because he said, my back hurts, I don't feel good, I need to stretch. And every time he said, once I get out, it's going to move. And then right when I convinced him, okay, get out and stretch, then the car started moving.
Damn, you should have got out way faster.
I had gotten out before, but he didn't.
Yeah, I woke up and saw like some of the truck drivers sitting on the side of the median just chilling there, and I was like, oh. But then when it started moving and like the semi-truck on our left passed us, then we looked on the other side of the freeway, and there was just this other semi-truck that was completely demolished. Like the front of the diesel was destroyed, the trailer was...
The road was destroyed for probably a quarter mile. It was insane.
Yeah,
there was all these huge...
like scrape marks.
Yeah, and these huge blocks of cement or something, and just, yeah, the road was demolished. So it must have been an insane accident.
Yeah, and then when we passed that wrecked semi-truck that they pulled onto the other side, there was also a Suburban or a Tahoe that was just completely crushed. It looked like a monster truck had run over it. So I really hope everyone was okay with that, because obviously it was a horrible accident, and I haven't checked the news to see if there was any fatalities or anything.
I think that was Theon, Texas.
Theon, because it was just north of like Georgetown, right? I think so. Well, we were not too far from home. Like once
it was about 40 min'ts away.
Yeah, okay, 40 minutes. Yeah, because once we started moving, we got home pretty quick.
But sorry to interrupt you. You didn't. How'd you feel about your set and all that? I remember you saying before we got on the air, you watched it and it was cringe. Is it just because you don't like watching yourself, or did you feel like there was something wrong?
I think it's a little bit of that. I think it's also like, it's even with like the we recorded it. We used the shotgun mic and everything, and like you can hear the laughter and stuff. But it was also like just watching it. It seemed like I was bombing the whole time.
So you think it couldn't pick up the laughs well? There just weren't that ton.
Well, it wasn't like they were like, even for everybody's set, the laughs weren't crazy audible. You know, they weren't going out and being like, it wasn't a big roars or anything. A lot, at least on my set, there was a lot of like, I'd say the punchline, and then it was just dead silence, and then they would start laughing because they would get it. And granted, there was only probably and that room holds maybe like 200
counted. Yeah, there was
people.
about 35 people.
35 people in a room that held maybe 200 people. So
the cool thing is they're assigned seating, so they packed them in.
Or they ushered them in, so they packed them into the front, which was cool. And I did some crowd work and talked to the crowd, which I've been working on that a lot, like making actual eye contact, talking to the people. And that's when I feel like I got the most laughs, is interacting with them, which was good. I've been trying to do that. But also just at some of the shows I've been performing at, they've been like big, sold out, packed shows, because the producers here are really good at filling their rooms. And then also like Vulcan Gas Company, the times I do get to do Secret Show on Thursdays, so it's a big sold out room. And so it's like, in a room where there's more people, there's more chance of someone getting your joke immediately and start laughing. So that kind of like, you get that instant laugh, and then the rest of the people catch up. So it's like
kind of spreads like a disease around the room.
Exactly. And I kind of forgot how like some of my jokes do take a second to get, because they're so normal to me. And when I think of them, but I forget that like maybe for some people they're a little too clever and they don't get them right away, and then it like kicks in. But even then, last night the laughs were very like, like they weren't like, oh.
A lot of the crowd seemed disappointed, especially by for all the comics, for when things got dirty or dark. It really seemed like that was not. There was tons of people tisking me or not happy about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there was points at the show where a few different people got big laughs. So I think the crowd was there to laugh and had a good time. It's just we weren't the comics for them. I think they wanted something a lot more straightforward, less dark, less mean, less funny in my opinion. But I think they wanted something more straightforward,
Yeah, I think they wanted more.
Probably someone older.
I think they wanted more cheese.
The most laughs I got was, Doug, there was one joke, for example, where I said, sometimes people laugh at that joke, but you guys are right, it's really stupid. And then that's probably the biggest laugh I got. So obviously they just didn't like me or my style,
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, your rockstar joke went off pretty well. Like your opener, it went great and you did it, and I really liked the long pause you did at the beginning.
Thing I like, there was a few people in the crowd who were even saying, oh man, I'm scared this guy's gonna kill us. And so to me, that's,
They said that?
That's worth the whole trip and everything.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because, they gotta fear you, right?
Exactly.
But I liked it because, and then as soon as you like passed off the rock star, gave it away. Like I thought that was a really big pop, like right out the gate. Got them on your side. But yeah, it seemed like they were thinking more of like.
Well, there was one point too, because I have a really dirty joke about the different consistencies of semen, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna do my rock star bit because that's pretty innocuous. It's not really offensive or gross, Yeah. So I'll start with that. And then my plan was, okay, I'll get into the semen joke because it starts off kind of not too bad and see how they feel. And if they don't like it, I'll move on. But when I did it and they didn't like it, I was already in a bad mood and not feeling good. And I said, you know what, you guys don't like it? Fuck you, I'm doing the whole thing. And I think right there I just kind of went down the wrong path. But there was a few points where I dug myself out. And usually when I kind of broke the persona and just kind of said something self-deprecating, they liked it, but
Yeah, you said something they're all thinking in their minds. Like, look at this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fun.
But like you were saying too, the 15 minutes didn't feel that long, really. I was surprised when I got the light. I had a lot more material. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I had a lot of material left, but.
And then I looked at the recordings, and they were full 15 minutes. That's not like they lit.
Did Derek do 15? Because he thought he ran the light.
No, our recording, like. He did maybe 16.
Okay.
And I think I did 16. Because the recording on ours, because I have yours separated on the file, so like we know exactly how long you did, and then the video file of me and Derek, it was like a 33-minute video, so I split that into two with maybe a deviation of like 1 or 2 minutes between getting on and off stage, which I thought your introduction to me was just perfect yesterday.
I forgot that they do this a lot in Austin. I've never seen any other place really do this much at all. But in Austin, they have this pass the baton thing where there's no host and you just bring up the next person. I don't remember that happening in Fresno or Boise, really.
That originated at I think that's a Comedy Store thing, because that's how they do it at the Comedy Store.
So yeah, I just wasn't used to that at all, and usually I just walk off the stage.
Yeah.
So then I forgot. And then Nick walked up, and I had to run back on stage and introduce him really quick. But he just stood up there awkwardly for a second, looking offended or something.
Yeah, it worked out. It was pretty funny. That got a good laugh, and then
it's a good way to start it. Yeah.
And then I let everybody know that we're roommates, and told them about all your disgusting habits, and I thought that was going to do a lot better. But they were just so appalled by like what you do at home in your private time. You know, like they just like didn't. I was like, it didn't really go, but that was the start of me just kind of like riffing a bit, and like I riffed for as long as I could. I felt comfortable riffing, and then I fell back on the act and the jokes. And
you seemed happy on stage. You were smiling the whole time. I don't think I've ever seen you do that before.
Yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I've been trying to work on a little bit more stuff, and I feel like it's easier to do that when you're out of town. Like I did that in Corpus, and I had a good time. And I need to incorporate it back here, but I'm like, I think it's a little bit of Playin Pzy on my part, is because when I'm here and I live here and I'm around like all the bookers and stuff like that, I don't want them to see me like do mediocre. I want to go up and kill, so I can continue to like
do
get work and stuff like that. And it's like slowly I've been integrating them a bit more, trying to be more personal. Like my first appearance on Secret Show, I just went up and did the whole like stood in one place, deadpan, unapologetic, just told the jokes, and like it murdered and killed. And it's like each time I've got to perform at Vulcan, I've kind of tried to bring a little bit more of myself and style into it. Use the stage more, walk around, which is good. I feel like I need to find something. Maybe I need to start taking Alpha Brain or something like that to help with like my recall, or just because I don't know if it's nerves or whatnot. But as soon as I step on stage, I'm like always blanking of like what I'm gonna.
Are you high on weed?
I mean, I did smoke weed last night, like an hour.
That could give you some brain fog for sure.
Yeah,
and hurt your memory.
That's true. But then there's other times where I'm stoned and I just murder and I'm in the zone and I can do it, you know, and it's no problem. And I have, and like when I'm stoned, I'm feeling.
Is it the difference between the sativa and the indica, or
who knows? I don't know what I smoked last night. It was I walked outside to go to the car, and then Nate was outside smoking, and he's like, "Want to smoke?" I was like, "Sure." And I took a couple puffs. I didn't get like crazy. I didn't like sit there and blaze, but I mean, we smoked a joint, and I took maybe like 3 or 4 puffs on it, and then I didn't go on stage for like an hour and a half, you know. So I was like, that's plenty of time to like just mellow out and be cool. And I was looking over my notes and stuff, and just going over, and I had an idea of what I was gonna do, and it just, I don't know. It happens every once in a while, and I blank out, and I'm like, oh shit. I mean, granted, every once in a while, like I've never had a set where I'm like, I look at it, and then I just go, and then I perform it verbatim without without forgetting one thing or another. You know, you always get off stage and be like, it doesn't matter if you killed, like crushed and destroyed the room, you'll get off stage and be like, man, fuck, I forgot to tell that one joke, you know. And it's just like, that's all you think about. You always think about like what you could have done better at than instead of looking at all like how great it was, you know. Because when I got off stage, I felt great, and then this morning when I watched the video, I'm like, oh god, like, but.
Well, it was just the fact that there wasn't big laughs or everything.
Maybe it's just the fact that you couldn't hear them on the clips, you know. I mean, you could hear a little bit, but they weren't as loud as it seemed when you're on stage. And even when we were on stage, they weren't all that loud, but they were there and present and keeping you going. You could see the people having fun. But then I guess that's a lot of the stuff like with our style of humor. It's like when we do go a little darker or something like that, you know, some people are afraid to laugh at that kind of stuff sometimes, or they don't want to see, they don't want other people, maybe they don't want other people to see them laughing at something. So
that's possible. Or for some people, they just don't think it's funny, I guess.
That's true, but I mean, if they didn't think it's funny, like they're smiling and like snickering at us, but we perceive it as like, oh, they're laughing at the joke, they're just not laughing audibly. You know, I don't know what it is. Who knows?
You remember the Bill Hicks rules of comedy, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to implement last night. Was though, you know, forget which one it is, but it's just basically like go up there and do your thing and.
Didn't he say just talk off the cuff until if they stop laughing at that, then go to the material.
Yeah, basically the material.
But don't go
is
into
there
the
to fall
material
back
unless
on.
you need to.
Yeah.
See, I've been doing the opposite of that, so maybe I need to try to reverse that. What I've been doing lately is I do the material, then when the material stops working, then I go off the cuff.
Yeah.
Then I go back to the material. So I've been doing a sort of mirror world version of that, but maybe I should go back to his thing. Because actually, I think lately, a lot of the times when I've been talking off the cuff, it's been going better. So
yeah,
it's probably just the direction I need to go to be a little more real. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just all part of growing and becoming better at and mastering our craft, you know?
Yeah, and there's something... Do you ever listen to Jocko Willing podcast?
No.
I think it was Jocko being interviewed by Chris Williamson on the Modern Wisdom podcast.
We talked about him last podcast a little bit.
I might have said this the last time, but what he was saying is, I think Chris was asking him, how do you get more motivation? What can I do to be more motivated? You know, for whatever, for the gym, for business, whatever you need to be motivated for. And he said, you know, never worry about motivation. It's almost never going to be there. Even Jocko, this guy who's worked so hard all the time, he says he's motivated, 1% of the time.
Yeah, but it's the commitment and the dedication. And
just do what you have to do. It doesn't matter, It doesn't matter if you want to. It doesn't matter if you're motivated or if you're caring about your goals right now. And so I think that's kind of the way I've been looking at comedy, which is unfortunate because I used to love it. But lately it's just been, well, this is what I have to do, so I'm going to do it. But maybe that's just what it's like, and someday I'll feel motivated again. But for now, I just have to do what I got to do.
Yeah, maybe it's just
it has been a long time. They say usually, I think, in a relationship after 7 years, there's always some kind of, you're not in love anymore. And that's the really hard part, to try to keep the relationship together. So maybe I'm just at that point with comedy.
With comedy, yeah. Trying to get it going. Yeah, I mean, because it's a long and brutal journey. Some of like the biggest comics in the world right now, they're 20 years deep into comedy, and they've only started blowing up in the last maybe 5 to 3 years, becoming real relevant. So, I mean, it's a numbers game. Put the reps in, do your thing. But it's also, I feel like it's about having meaningful sets too,
Yeah, that's the thing I think about, though, is I think, wow, I'm just going to keep doing this for another 20 years and just not care about it the whole time? Is it even worth it?
Yeah, but maybe there'd be something, we just got to find something to like reignite your passion or something. Maybe this will help, maybe the podcast, doing more different things, like getting into it. Just possibly, just maybe both of us need to open up a bit more, like to on stage, but also in everyday life a bit, and just go out and have some more experiences. I feel like I do better when I am out, and at least I have an experience to go and like see people hang out, do stuff. I come up talking with people. I come up with funny or new jokes and stuff like that. But lately, we've both been kind of like, in a sense, struggling in everyday life. In a sense, like me like working like a little part-time gig. It barely pays the bills, so I'm not really having the funds to go out and experience more stuff. But I'm working on changing that. Like I'm trying to get certified to be a personal trainer at the gym, which will help make me some more money. And also it's something that I enjoy doing. So I'm actually putting effort into like making the most of my time that's going to make me happy. And then, I mean, with you the last few days, you haven't been as free as you can be because you don't have your car back yet. So who knows, maybe once we get our shit together, and we'll have to like plan something, just like a reset trip or something, go and just try and go find ourselves again.
That'd be cool, yeah. Or maybe even just go somewhere, go do an open mic somewhere, like in Houston or something. Yeah. It'd be fun.
Absolutely.
There's something I was gonna say, but oh well, I forgot. Now after them, it was a pretty cool show because it's their free Wednesday show, and they have, I guess they usually have about 3 features who do 15 minutes up top, but then they had a few guest spots too, and then it just goes straight into the open mic. So after I got off stage, I felt good because I just felt relieved. I felt like, okay, that's over. Kind of like when you go jogging. It's just, all right, that's over. Now I don't have to worry about that.
As soon as you're done, or after a workout, you're like, as soon as you're done, you're like, no one says I regret that, Like
yeah, exactly. So I just felt, okay. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. So I think in a sense, I kind of got what I asked for, and it's that old saying, be careful what you wish for. Because when I first started comedy, I was so scared and I cared about it so much. I was so anxious all the time. I was unemployed at the time, so 5 hours before a mic, I would start writing, and I would just be sweating bullets, and I'd be looking over everything I've ever written, different blog posts I'd written, different YouTube videos I'd made, different short stories I wrote, just looking through everything to find if there was any funny idea in there, and just in a panic the whole time. And then when I got to the mic, I was terrified the whole time. I was still nervous even when I got off stage. And so I used to be like that, just such a nervous wreck about it for so long. And I always would see these other guys, cool cats who've been at it a long time, and they would get off stage. They'd be just bullshitting the whole time, having fun, not a care in the world, walk up on stage, do their shit, kill, walk off, and it seemed like they didn't care at all.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking, damn, that is awesome. One day I'll be like them, you know? I'll just be reading the newspaper, walk up on stage and kill and get off. And now, after all this time, I do feel like that, but that's why I say be careful what you wish for, because I'm not nervous because I'm just confident I'm going to do great. I just don't care. So yeah, it makes me wonder if that's what they were like too back then.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But I see there is a bright side to it, because I could look at it as, well, the hardest part of comedy for most people, and I know certainly for me when I started, the hardest part was just handling it. Handling going up in front of people and saying what you have to say, and handling them hearing it and a lot of times not liking it, handling bombing. Now I don't really care. So in a sense, that's really good, because the hardest part is over now.
Well, it's like, remember the first time you bombed?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh fuck, that was the worst feeling in the world. But I survived it, I handled it. And so the next time you go up, and you might be excited about something you're gonna say, and that bombs. And that's almost like a whole different type of bomb feeling. You're like, oh fuck, I was really excited about this and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And then after so many years of going up and having good sets, mediocre sets, bad sets, you kind of experience the whole spectrum of the feeling. So it's just one of those, to me, it's like one of those things where it's like, I'm not afraid to bomb anymore. Like, I'll sit up there, and if I'm bombing, that's when I'll really start to smile at you. Like, yeah, this is it. Like, I'm getting paid. I'm here to do my job. I'm doing it, and you don't like it. Like, I'm sorry, but this is what I do. And I kind of look at it that way. But then afterwards, man, you always get off stage. Just, man, that could have gone better. Like I said earlier, you can, even if it goes great, you still get off stage. And like, yeah, this could have done this better, could have done that better. But what you're talking about is like listening back to like other sets. Like, I'll listen to good sets over and over and over again. I can only really listen to like a bomb like once. But you had a good point when you got to keep listening. Or Derek had a good point. You had to keep listening to it, and that way you'll spark new ideas. Because the first time you watch it, it's super cringe. You're like, oh god, dang it. The second time you listen, you're like, well, maybe I said this wrong, or I could play with it this way. And the Derek we're referring to is Derek Hayden, very great guy, very funny comic.
Yeah, no, that was really good advice that he was giving.
I think so too, and that's why
I need to do that. It sucks so bad. Yeah. I hate that so much.
Watching my set today was almost worse than listening to it, because then you're actually like seeing it. You're like, oh
yeah,
god! But it's good. It's beneficial because you see how you're presented on stage, which is a big help. Because I feel like I got some good notes internally already, just to be like, okay, well, do this, do this and don't do that, do this, don't do that,
Oh, the other thing I was going to say about the show is afterwards, so it got into the open mic, and then I had a really good time because I got a few more drinks and I just sat down. And I love open mics, so it was just fun to just see people go up, some people bombing, some people, they bomb most of it, but they have this one really funny joke or one funny idea, and you could see it's kind of the first time they've ever said it. So fun. And then some people I saw go up and they were really good. You could tell they were pretty new, but they definitely had some innate charisma and cool ideas, and that was just really fun. I love going to an open mic in a new city and just seeing all the new wacky cast of characters and what it's like, kind of try to feel out the dynamic of what's the politics like between these different people and what's the hierarchy and stuff.
Yeah, like in their own scene.
In their little scene. You just get a little glimpse of their scene, and all the craziness that goes, the backstabbing and the all the envy and all whatever kind of crazy dramas going on there. They'd all be their own great reality show, you know.
Exactly. I do like about how Austin, I don't really see that backstabbiness though. Everyone's pretty inclusive and open with each other here.
I think there's a few snakes, but doesn't seem like they have much power.
Yeah, which is great because back where we come from, where there's a couple snakes and they're the ones running the room, running the shows, and you're just like, fuck. Then it's like,
Same thing in Idaho, yeah.
Yeah, I want to go and get my reps in, or say this joke that I'm thinking about and do it, and you're like, fuck, the only place to go is that rat bastard's place, you know, and then you go and then they treat you like shit. But there's that sense of community, like with the people you're around. It's almost like back home where we're from, it's like everybody that we hung out with had the same feeling about the person that you did, but they're all there just sucking it up and doing it, and you end up having a good time, and you know, and then things change over time. People grow, and you know, which is good because it's a couple of the snakes back home, you know, before I left or after pandemic, kind of had like a change of heart and realized, like, you know, like after everyone was locked down, it was taken away from everyone. They kind of had a change of heart and like came up to say like, oh, I'm sorry about all the shit in the past, which was great. Some of them were sincere, some of them weren't sincere. Like one of them came up to me and was just like, hey man, I need to talk to you. Like, can we go outside? I was like, yeah, sure. And hadn't seen this person in probably about a year, and I walk out. But I mean, I'd been at the open mics with this person for the previous 5 years straight. But as we walk outside, the first thing he says is like, oh, what's your name again? And I was like, are you serious, man? Like, it's Nicholas. He's like, oh yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for everything. And it's just like almost like a backhanded like apology. Like I was like, I almost would have preferred funny. You not say, you know, you're sorry. You know what I mean? Like, it's such bullshit. But what else is gonna happen this week, Matt, for you?
That's it. I should be hearing about my car soon, so probably just get that paid off and have to get a new one, which I'm not looking forward to because I used to be a car salesman, so I hate being around them and dealing with all that. But
yeah, what about, they have so many options to buy online now where you don't even have to like go. You can just look and find the car you want on like a website and then have them ship it to you or go pick it up from somewhere.
Oh, really? Well, I'll have to check that out because, yeah, that sounds way better.
Yeah, you don't even have to deal with the salesman or something like that. The only thing I'm concerned about on those is like there's no haggle process, you know.
Right.
If it's
so
online,
you're going to pay more probably.
Yeah, you don't have the opportunity to be like, or have the opportunity for the salesman to try and get you to buy it. Be like, oh, I'm not going to, a couple grand off or anything like that. It's just, this is the price and that's it. So it's like a pros and cons kind of thing. Because either like when you're like you said, you've been a salesman, they'll either like, they really want the sale, so they'll drop it down a bit. And then, or if you go in and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy a car, then they try and haggle you the other way, like get all these upgrades and all this stuff. And you're like, I don't want to fucking deal with that.
You want a bigger down payment and all this different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The last time was great because I just went to the dealership I used to work at. And I was like, hey guys, and you know, I knew the managers and everything, so I just want this one. Let's kind of work out the paperwork, and it's easy.
Why don't you call them?
It's in Idaho.
Yeah, so call them, see if they'll ship it, or see if it's be worth to have a nice little road trip, fly up there, pick it up, drive it home.
I don't think it'd be worth it. It's costs a lot to do the shipping and everything, or to pay someone to drive it down.
What if you just flew up there and drove it down? What if we did it together and made like a trip out of it?
We made a lot of extra money. There's tons of dealerships here, you know.
Sure. Want to make it an experience?
That's a long drive, my friend.
It's a long experience.
It's a lot of gas money.
How long was the drive from Montana to here when you drove?
Oh, I didn't drive from Montana to here. I went to California.
Oh, that's right. You were in California too. Oh, so you.
But
you
that's a really long drive.
Yeah, that
probably
was like 26
30
hours
or 40 hours or something. Yeah.
It was like 26 hours
from Montana to here.
Oh, from Montana to here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It was wild. I remember I got into Texas. I was like, oh, I'm here, and I looked at the GPS. It's like still 12 hours.
Far away.
Like,
yeah, it's a huge state.
Yeah, but I kind of went a roundabout way when I drove through. I drove from California to Flagstaff, Arizona, stayed in a hotel. Then from Flagstaff, Arizona, I drove straight to Dallas. And that was long. It was like a 14-hour day. And then from Dallas, hung out. And then, because I got to Dallas, I think, on a Saturday. And then we weren't able to get our keys until that following Monday. So I just stayed in Dallas. And then I drove that 3 hours down on Monday and picked up the keys. And then I think you showed up like a day later.
Something like that. But what do you got coming up for comedy?
Comedy, let's see. Today is the 1st. I've got it's all gonna happen this weekend, so by the time this airs, it'll already pass, but I'm doing a rap/comedy show with my friend Dallas. He's also AKA Little God. He's a Canadian rapper. He was one of the first people I met when I moved out here. I met him at Kill Tony, and we were hanging out and chit-chatting and followed each other. And then,
What was he doing here? Was he recording or?
he was visiting, and he was also trying to sign up for Kill Tony. He's a big Kill Tony fan, and then a couple weeks later, I got on Kill Tony, and then he had saw and hit me up, and then we had just been we've stayed in contact, just messaging back and forth. He came down to visit again. He recently got on Kill Tony and had a really good set for his first time ever doing stand-up. Then they found out he was a decently successful rapper. He could play the drums, so he did his episode was really good. He had the trifecta, a good set, good interview, showed his talents, and everyone liked him, and so he made good friends with everybody. And then he's actually on a tour right now, a little Texas tour with a couple other rappers and stuff like that. And so they had it all lined up already, but he scheduled a Austin date, and then he got me, I believe Hans Kim and Ellis and Mike Eaton and Mumford Davis are all going to be on the show. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be tomorrow, I believe.
So it'll be hip hop performances with comedy in between?
I think so, yeah, because he was asking me how to do it that way, and I just kind of remembered Audie's Olympic, how that open mic where they would do a musical thing, a musical thing, comic, and it was it also will help with the lag time between each different act setting up their stuff, so the comic will be up there doing their thing. I don't know if how much setup is going to be going on behind us or where it's going to be, but it should be fun. That's going to happen on Sunday.
Are the other comics cool with it?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to any of them how they feel about it, but I've only talked to Dallas, Little God. That's going to happen Sunday. On Saturday, I'm going to do the one-liner competition at Buzzmill again, so that'll be fun. And then Monday, I'll probably just go to Kill Tony, see what's up.
Did you get pretty far the last time you did it?
I got halfway through. I had a joke that got laughs from the audience, but the judge or the referee said no. He was by this time he had been drinking and.
No, as in, are there rules or?
Well, so apparently it's you go up one at a time, you say a joke, and if the audience laughs, you get passed. I had a joke. It didn't go great, but there was enough. There was 4 or 5 people laughing pretty hard, and that's all it took for other people to get passed on it. And then
But he said it wasn't enough laughs.
Yeah, and then which was kind of bullshit, and I didn't cause a stink or anything, but I was just that's pretty biased and bullshit. But I had a good time, and then sat and watched the rest of it. But I made it probably a good halfway through, and I had probably had gone through maybe 15 jokes at that point, and then after that it just kind of kept going, and so I don't know. So this time I probably won't bust that joke out as soon, but I mean I know it's a good joke. So
you have the ones picked out that you all feel are the best for the competition?
I have my list that I used for the last ones, and I'll go through, and I was just making sure every time I'd get off, I'd put a check. Okay, that joke worked. That joke worked. That joke worked. I put and then I have an X next to that one because that's where I got eliminated. So
who won last time?
Holly Johnson won.
Nice.
Funny comic, hilarious. It came down to her and I believe Jeffrey Berner. I like him a lot. He's another California
He's awesome.
dude.
Yeah, I love him.
His shit's so funny.
I love him.
He had a great joke where it's it's probably my favorite joke of the night. It was pretty dark, but I might butcher it, and I apologize, Jeffrey, if I do butcher it. But he said a lot of child molesters were actually victims of molestation themselves. It serves them right. It's something I butchered it, but it was really, really funny. I enjoyed that one a lot. Or he had another one where he went up there and he just asked everybody. He asked if anybody was a fan of blowjobs, and all the guys clapped and was yeah, and he's well, get up here, silly, and that one was just a silly one that got me really good. But that was a lot of fun. And then I got some other stuff coming up that I can't really think of at the moment off the top of my head. I got some stuff in October coming, and yeah, I'm just gonna go out there and continue to do my thing. And
all right, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think that's about it for now. But I'm gonna go out there and continue to do my best and not play pussy.
All right, everybody, just remember, if you play pussy,
You're gonna get fucked.
Playin Pzy.